This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
COVID-19 and civil unrest are prompting some Hoosiers to protect themselves. I'm Kara Kenny. We're digging into what new gun licensing numbers show.
And that's in moments. Good evening. I'm Amanda Starantino at the WRTV studios.
And I'm Mark Mullins, broadcasting from home tonight. First at 6 o'clock tonight. For more than a week, demonstrators in Indianapolis have demanded an end to police brutality and to hold officers more accountable. And late last week, the city announced it's revising its current use of force policy. But as RTV6's Stephanie Wade finds out, it might not be enough for everyone seeking justice.
Major steps in the city's history, according to the mayor of Indianapolis, were taken last week. For the first time, the use of force by police officers will be reviewed by the citizens of Indianapolis. Just one of the changes made following nearly 2 weeks of protests against police brutality and the deaths of George Floyd and Drayshawn Reed here locally that have rocked the city and the nation.
Not only long overdue, but frankly are in keeping with standard best practices in other communities throughout the country.
Last updated in 2016, Mayor Joe Hogsett says IMPD's use of force policy will be based on a California model. Number one, creating a clear standard for use of deadly force, updating the requirement for identification and warning before using deadly force, banning the use of chokeholds entirely, outlining clearly defined de-escalation requirements, defining an officer's duty to intervene and report when another officer uses inappropriate force not previously required, prohibiting shooting into moving vehicles, requiring reporting of all uses of force by an officer, both lethal and non-lethal, and lastly, specifying rules for use of less lethal force.
Having the citizens who will be charged with the responsibility of participating and guiding and ultimately recommending to the chief, I think that's the most significant aspect of the changes that we're making.
Though not everyone is satisfied with the proposed changes, the African American Coalition of Indianapolis is calling for more civilian oversight and transparency, wanting a civilian majority on the use of force review board, not affiliated with the city government or IMPD, to ensure accountability.
We have a disagreement in terms of what the makeup of that board looks like. But the critical aspect is that nearly half of the board will be made up by citizens. And I think that's an important step forward for our community.
Mayor Hogsett says he's open to considering in the future if more citizen participation would be beneficial, but feels the changes they're making now are significant and will be impactful for all people living and working in Indianapolis. Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Well, the IMPD General Orders Committee is expected to vote on the drafted use of force policy this week. Beginning July 6th, IMPD will start training officers on this new policy.
Deadly violence is a growing problem in Indianapolis, and since the beginning of the year, there have been 90 homicides in the city. This time last year, Indianapolis had 64 homicides. Megan Sanctorum spoke with city leaders to find out why they think there is an increase in violence and what's being done to stop it.
They're not the statistics anyone wants to see. Families across the city losing mothers, fathers, siblings, and children to violence.
It's awful. It's like kind of news that you just never want to hear, ever.
Elizabeth Bird is just one of many who got that call. Her 15-year-old brother, Peter Lambermont, was shot and killed back in January.
Literally, he just hooked up with the wrong kids and only knew him for 3 weeks, and that's all it took.
Since then, countless others have been impacted by violence.
It's always difficult. People think you get used to it. I never do. It hurts me each time like it's brand new, like I've never heard it before.
The city's director of community violence reduction says the pandemic has added additional challenges as they're not able to run many of the programs they typically do and work with people face to face.
We are definitely concerned about our summer months coming up.
But she says work is being done. Within the coming weeks, several youth and young adult summer programs will resume. A resource fair is also being planned. The goal, to connect people with job opportunities and mental health counselors. They're also working to form new partnerships with organizations and businesses for additional programming. She says the city can only do so much, though, and she's calling on the community to do their part as well.
Really want people to be patient with each other coming back out of COVID-19 restriction and to think before they act.
People take life for granted too much anymore. And they really don't realize it until something like what happened with Peter happens to them.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
Call 6 Investigates has uncovered new numbers that show more Hoosiers are getting licensed to carry a gun. Our Kara Kenny explains tonight what's behind the trend and what experts say you need to know.
TJ Maxx is just one of many downtown businesses burglarized during last month's protests. These images have prompted many to seek to protect their own homes and families. In Indiana, you don't need a license to have a gun in your home, but you do if you want to take your gun in your car or out in public. New numbers show in the first quarter of 2020, Indiana State Police approved 16,000 gun licenses, a 20% increase compared to the same time period last year, and a 35% increase compared to the last part of 2019. Experts say uncertainty surrounding COVID-19 is a big factor. Gun stores have also seen sales spike in the last few weeks, following looting and burglaries of downtown businesses.
Anytime we have social unrest, anytime things deviate from the norm and people start being concerned about their personal safety, for whatever reason, we see an increase both in firearm purchases and in applications for the license to carry handgun, as we call it here in Indiana.
Guy Relford says his training class on Indiana gun laws sold out in 36 hours.
It was a bit of a surprise, but I think it fits directly in with the topic, Kara, and that is that people really not only want to have the ability to defend themselves, but want to understand what the rules are. They want to stay on the right side of the law.
Currently, 954,000 people have an active gun license in Indiana. Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America is concerned about the uptick in gun licensing and is urging gun owners to store them safely. The reality is, whenever guns are present, the risk of violence, including unintentional shootings, is too. Plus, the increase in gun sales not only makes the gun lobby richer, but it also raises concerns about children who are in the homes where these guns are all too often unsecured, as well as in the homes of domestic abuse. Starting July 1st, a 5-year gun license in Indiana will cost you nothing. Right now, it's a $30 state fee plus any local fees. Reporting in Indianapolis, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
Thanks, Kara. The Confederate monument that stood in Garfield Park in Indianapolis for 92 years is now gone. The city dismantled the monument this morning, just days after Mayor Joe Hogsett announced it would be removed. The memorial was originally installed in 1912 at Greenlawn Cemetery at the site of a mass grave of Confederate prisoners of war who died at Indianapolis's Camp Morin during the Civil War. It was moved to Garfield Park in 1928 when public officials who were active in the Ku Klux Klan sought to make the monument more visible to the public. The city made this move as Black Lives Matter protests continue almost daily.
The city of Indianapolis is planning to use $76 million in coronavirus relief money on health, social services, and economic initiatives to help the city recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. The largest percentage of the city's relief funding plan calls for $20 million to be spent on increased contact tracing and testing in Marion County, which would be separate from the state's contact tracing plan. Another $15 million will be spent on rental assistance for Indianapolis residents who have been impacted financially by COVID-19. The city will present the proposal tonight at the City-County Council meeting. Our mission through the Rebound Indiana is to share resources to help you get beyond the COVID-19 pandemic. And part of that is making sure you know where to turn for mental support. So today, our Lauren Casey looks at the Bowen Center to see how mental health services are adapting to this new normal.
it's so important for people to have a lifeline, especially when they're experiencing this pandemic-imposed isolation.
And Dr. Richard Rorold, chief psychologist for Bowen Center, says the ability to provide continuation of care for patients is critical. Thankfully, Bowen Center was already preparing to move into that virtual space, and they tell us they've been seeing successes over the past few months.
And our psychiatrists, they almost took no dip at all, and now they're seeing about 5% more patients.
Kurt Carlson is the president and CEO.
It sounds like this has been pretty successful for you guys, getting into the homes, helping people not necessarily face-to-face, but virtually. What parts of this are you guys going to continue on or take with you as we go past the COVID-19?
Our psychiatrists and nurse practitioners are really finding this to be a valuable experience for them. If they have an opening in their schedule, they're taking people from all around the state.
Group therapy sessions have been more interactive. Outpatient show rates have increased since going virtual. Inpatient services like recovery center services have remained in person, but the telehealth option has provided more flexibility in care for other areas. And Dr. Rorold says the telehealth services has helped them to better serve some of their most vulnerable by removing barriers like transportation and mobility issues, geographical challenges, the fear of infection by COVID-19, and it also bypasses the barrier of stigma.
There are some people who simply out of fear, out of shame, just won't consider walking into a counselor or mental health or addictions building.
And for Bowen Center, phone conversations have led to life-altering decisions.
We've been able to intervene and prevent at least a couple of suicides that I was aware of, specifically because we were able to walk somebody through a crisis on the phone.
And while there are challenges to treating patients virtually, the overwhelmingly positive response to this type of care could help telehealth services become a bigger part of our new normal.
How did they compare a telephonic or televideo service to a face-to-face experience? And then did they think it was beneficial? And 80 to 90% of people gave positive responses to both of those questions.
Working for you, Lauren Casey, RTV6.
Lauren, thank you. Good to hear that. As for the cost there, 95% of patients at the Bowen Center have some sort of insurance coverage. But for patients unable to cover their portion, the center offers charity care to ensure money is never a barrier to receiving care. If you're interested in learning more about telephonic or in-person services through the Bowen Center, you can find more information on our website. That's theindychannel.com/rebound.
I'm Dave First. Voices of change coming from many. And for Pacers Sports and Entertainment, Malcolm Brogdon is leading them. Why they call him the president. Coming up in the Sports Extra Spotlight.
And bring an appetite for anything and a slice of imagination to this sandwich shop. Brad Brown shows you the unique twist to this dining experience.
And we'll serve up thunderstorms. It looks like tomorrow, the late afternoon, will be the peak time for thunderstorms. We'll talk about our severe threat as well, coming up. Hopefully you've got the time. I want to take a little walk in Holiday Park. Oh, it's about 100 acres or so. There's a great ravine there and a long stretch on one of the nature trails that goes along White River. It's a great place to visit if you've never been there. It's just about 6 miles north of Indianapolis. Well, did you know you had a halo over your head all day long? There was a ring around the sun created by cirrus clouds. They're made of ice crystals, and they bend to refract the light and get this ring around the sun. Often it's the sign of the first clouds from an approaching storm system. You can also get the same ring around the moon. Those clouds that we're talking about are coming from remnants of Cristobal, and you see the swirl into almost the northern half of Indiana now. The rain, though, from Tennessee and Arkansas south for now. Our thunderstorm chances increase as we go into the afternoon hours tomorrow. A few may be severe. Biggest impact, you'll definitely feel wind even outside of any thunderstorms. I think we'll see 40-mile-per-hour gusts independent of any thunderstorms. The humidity climbs. Tomorrow may well be the most humid day that we've had so far, and there is a slight risk for severe storms over the western 2/3 of the state, basically the entire RTV6 viewing area. Can't rule out some brief tornadoes. That's part of the issue with these tropical systems and the shear or turning in wind speed and direction with these tropical systems. Okay, the wind is strong tomorrow, and it will draw in warmer temperatures. We may push the upper 80s before the thunderstorms arrive. Don't forget, whenever we're talking about thunderstorms, active weather, quick changing situations, the Storm Shield app is free. It's a weather radio for your phone. There's your probability of rain peaking around 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And I think these come in waves. 1 o'clock to the southwest, Terre Haute to, say, Bloomfield. There's the line. Lafayette to Indy to almost Greensburg. Then a break, and then another little spiral comes through with the higher humidity. And the actual storm center for Cristobal, well to our west, but we're drawing in that warm, moist air. We'll hold on to a chance for showers and thunderstorms early Wednesday. Then we're in for a great stretch Thursday through Monday. Temperatures at or below average, and morning lows back in the 50s with lots of sunshine. It will be a beautiful dry stretch. Amanda, Mark?
And we've shown you several great sandwich places as part of our We're Open Indy series, and one restaurant in Broad Ripple is really doing its own thing.
Yeah, bring your appetite and your imagination, and maybe your creation could end up on the menu. Our Brad Brown got a taste of the action.
Just follow the steam to the heart of Broad Ripple, and you'll find an only in this spot kind of sandwich.
So the steaming process, the bagel itself is soft and warm, and then everything inside is really warm and good. It makes it unique, and it's what really makes it good.
Ripple Bagel Deli opened 16 years ago. Todd's in-laws started the place, got the idea for a steamed bagel joint when their daughter, Todd's sister-in-law, was at Miami University in Ohio. They're welcoming diners back inside just last week after more than 2 months of carryout and curbside.
It's been difficult and challenging, but it's, I know that it's been a lot harder for more people and for different businesses, across every industry, really.
Now, here's the thing. If you have a tough time making decisions, the massive menu here will make your head spin. There are more than 100 regular sandwiches available, with nearly 20 bagel options, a dozen meats, veggies, cheeses, sauces, and spreads. Whew, here's the deal. If you can think of it, they can make it.
It's funny because a lot of people will come in and they'll look and look and look, and then they always say, I always look and look, but I always just get my favorite, and then some other people are like, they try something else all the time.
But if you're ready for anything, just dive in and take a chance.
Another cool thing is we have one called the Lottery, which is just whoever's back there making sandwiches makes, however they want to do it, and those are always a big hit too. It's a little, we joke that it's a risk, but everybody seems to always love them too.
And if your wild idea is good enough, it could earn a regular spot on the Ripple Bagel menu board.
Some combinations, when you first hear them, you think, oh my gosh, how is that, how are you going to like that? But it's funny because then you end up giving it a try, and it's like, oh yeah, that's actually pretty good. It worked. Our customers have been extremely loyal, but a lot of people have missed dining in and being able to kind of hang out and talk to people. So it's been nice to be able to accommodate those people as well, and also have the outdoor option too.
Working for you in Broad Ripple, Brad Brown, RTV6.
Well, Ripple Bagel is open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. Dine in, street side patio seating for the next couple of weeks, and carry out as well. So enjoy. The Pacers and the rest of the NBA are expected to resume their season July 31st in Orlando.
And while that's going on, social justice is on their mind, with the Pacers following the impassioned voice of Malcolm Brogdon, named after Malcolm X. The Pacers guard has been the organization's president of change, and one day just may run for an office. Sports Director Dave First with the Sports Extra Spotlight.
Voices are coming from all around the country, some louder than others. Enter Pacers guard Malcolm Brogdon.
We don't have to burn down our homes. We don't have to. We built this city.
His grandfather once marched with Dr. Martin Luther King, and growing up in Atlanta, no one was called to action any quicker there.
Learning that, for me, was as important as learning math and science. That's sort of how it was more important for me.
He's appeared on any number of TV shows since, and back in Indy, Pacers president of basketball operations Kevin Pritchard is listening and learning.
I'm watching and talking to Malcolm Brogdon every day, and He is a superstar.
On the court, Kevin knew exactly what Malcolm would bring when he was signed last offseason. He also had a sense what he could do often.
When I first met him, when we signed him, we walked out of the first meeting with him and we said, that guy's a president. He is truly a president.
And if you didn't know, that's his nickname. Been that way since his rookie season in Milwaukee, and earlier this year, others in the organization were seeing why.
I think it just speaks on, what people think about Malcolm.
It's a perfect one for him. I personally wouldn't want to be the president. That's a lot of pressure.
It's because he speaks like
presidential.
He's very calm.
Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, it's a cool nickname. As long as you know the context.
Which is what?
When President Obama was in office, that's why they call me the president.
Sounds like the former president maybe has a few mannerisms, and with the NBA season expecting to resume July 31st, Malcolm says it's an opportunity to further amplify his voice.
Is getting back to basketball, is the timing of that right now?
Right now with basketball, I think we have the ability to make statements, to use our leverage, to bring about whatever change we want while also playing basketball.
We have a player known to hand out assists.
Our kids are going to look back at this and say, you were a part of that.
And an organization ready to accept them.
You see the video and you thought, yep, that's Malcolm. That's the guy we brought onto this organization.
He is my president. I've learned more from him on this than I ever thought I would and ever thought I could. I would not be surprised. I'll put it this way. He has my vote.
A drive for change is on. Day 1st, RTV6 Sports.
Apply online today.
Sunset is still 2 hours and 45 minutes away. A dry and warm night. Tomorrow evening, our thunderstorm chances go up. Wednesday, rain chances will start to come back down. Thanks for watching the news this evening. World News.